do, 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 do. If you don't know what that is, you ain't a Friday fan. You've never seen Friday. If you don't know that music, dun, 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 dun. What's happening, people? The great people of Atlanta Falcons, not only the fan base, but all over the world. Yeah, I got some deboing to do. I told y'all, I was like, I like to challenge points. So, probably not gonna sit well with a few people saying this, but I gotta do it. I gotta do it. So, y'all do know that this channel is called Mad Mike Sports, right? I think everybody knows that. We've been going on for quite some time. Mad Mike Sports is probably about 5 years old, maybe 6. Just the name itself. I wasn't always Mad Mike. I was dubbed that name about 5, 6 years ago. So, this show is about rants. This show is about passion. This show is about going in. This show is about facts, the stats, and the truth. And I didn't want to abandon this topic because I think it's very important to know the truth about things. Quite a few people, like honestly, I think people just telling half of the story, man. I'ma just be real about it. I think people really ain't telling their true intentions and their true feelings in regards to how this team is being built, how it has been built. I don't think people are telling the truth. It's like I see certain points in it. It's like when you say certain things, like, see my boy Wolf, he was like, he's one of those fans, he gonna tell you the truth. Like, it's not gonna be something that's popular. It's not gonna be something that like everybody's gonna agree with, but he's gonna tell you his point of view. And I feel personally that a lot of people aren't being truthful about their stance on the Atlanta Falcons. And it's like when you're not being truthful, two things happen when you're not being truthful. One is that is manifest and it rears its ugly head as you start to see a lot of statements that's like half-assed. See a lot of half-assed statements that being put out there. And like I said, a lot of people that go out their way, just like they say certain things, it's like, okay, so why are we still focusing on this one aspect of the Falcons team in its entirety? It's like I dropped a short, all right, so if you guys have not checked that out, with Calais Campbell. And Calais Campbell went on, to state that like he don't really want to have a DB meeting, a get together. He doesn't want to have a defense get together. He want to have team camaraderie, and that is one of the main reasons why he was brought in here, is to be a leader and to show these guys what it truly means to build a team. And I think, this statement So I can be honest, it's like I think this is I think this is one of the aspects. Is like we so worried about one particular aspect, and then you look at these damn crying ass. Look, I'm gonna just be real, man. I'm so fucking tired of all these diva ass wide receivers and fucking running backs, quarterbacks. It's like they so full of shit. Okay, these guys are so full of shit. They prissy. All they want is money, money, money. All I want is win, win, win. No matter what. That's all y'all fucking care about. I want money, money, money. No matter what. They don't give a fuck who they step on. They don't give a fuck how much, like, who gotta go in order for them to get their money. That's all they focus on. That's all they care about. That's all they fucking care about. And a very important aspect of this team is just being neglected. Nobody's talking about it. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares. Nobody want to talk about defense. Nobody want to talk about the secondary. Nobody want to talk about the defensive line, the edge, the defensive tackle, the linebackers. Nobody want to talk about that. Nobody cares about Troy Anderson. Nobody cares about Michael Walker. Nobody cares about AJ Terrell. AJ Terrell is one of the most, young star corners in the freaking game, but nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a fuck. This is why Atlanta Falcons Nation do what we do, because we talk about everything. I'm not gonna sit up here and spend 2 fucking weeks on one fucking topic and one particular aspect of a team. All y'all motherfuckers care about is how can the running back get more money? How can we get another number 2 wide receiver? We got a number 1. What the fuck we need to be searching for a number 2 for? Why we got to spend all our money on the damn wide receiver? Why we got to always spend all our money on tight ends? Why we got to always spend our money on bringing in another damn running back? Why we always got to focus on if it doesn't happen? If Desmond Ritter don't become a great quarterback, then we got to go right back to the drawing board and find another damn quarterback. Why can't we focus on the running game? Why can't we build a defense? Why can't we build an offensive line? Why can't we build it the right way? These are the questions and the things that I ask. Why is that every time we talk about, you see the conversation about our Atlanta Falcons, it's always what Ritter. It's all about Ritter and Arthur Smith. That's all y'all give a fuck about. It's all the publications care about. How many, like now we talking about a quarterback that's not even no longer on our fucking team. They get more publicity than the defense does. They get more publicity than a guy like Lorenzo Carter. They get more publicity than a guy like Arnold Ebiketie, Grady Jarrett. Grady Jarrett is the best defensive player we got on our team, but nobody talks about him. Nobody cares about talking about a Grady Jarrett. Y'all asking so far, like we answering fucking questions time and time again about Desmond Ritter. Every fucking show, somebody want to ask me a damn question about Desmond Ritter. Nobody asked me, no, not neither one of you guys. Maybe a few people have asked how many sacks do you think Grady Jarrett gonna have. Nobody asking that shit. So you gotta look at yourself as a fan of football. Oh, you really a fan of football? Yeah, I'm pulling that card again. Look, all we want to do is answer your questions. But half of y'all don't even have questions. If it ain't pertaining to what quarterback or what players, what wide receiver you gonna get coming out of this draft, what the quarterback gonna be, if we're gonna get Caleb Williams, we're gonna tank for Caleb Williams, or we gonna trade all our picks away. So if Desmond Ritter doesn't work out, we're gonna end up drafting Caleb Williams, or Bo Nix, or the guy at Michigan right now. Like that's all we fucking care about. How can we continuously appease the offense? Like the fans who always claim that they love defense, they claim that they love to have a balanced team and have a good team, but y'all don't really want that shit. All y'all want to do is focus on the fucking quarterback and, oh, he said this about my quarterback. He said this. Ain't nobody in the Falcons. Name a damn, let's be real. When was the last time you saw a content creator do a whole breakdown on edge rushes for the Atlanta Falcons? I'll wait. When was the last time y'all seen these guys do a whole breakdown on a defense? When was the last time that y'all see them do a whole breakdown on backup linebackers or backup running backs and players for the Atlanta Falcons? What's going to happen to Darren Hall? When was the last time that you saw this type of stuff? But we proclaim to be Falcons content creators, and we love the team, but we always focus on the damn quarterback. And yeah, I'm throwing you an alley-oop, Blackberry. It's an alley-oop, because he got his show coming. I know he going to want to talk some defense. We want to be the leaders of the conversations. We want to focus on all aspects of the football. This is why look, I'm going to just be real. I hate running backs. I hate wide receivers. To this point, I hate them. From this point forward, fuck a wide receiver, fuck a running back. Especially the ones that drafted in the first round. Most of them spoiled fucking pricks. You don't hear Saquon Barkley talking about nothing about his damn offensive line. You do not hear DeAndre Hopkins talking about, I'm going to the Tennessee Titans because they got a good defense. No, you don't hear nothing. He's saying he's going to go up there and do big things. He wanted to win. Well, teams that, have good teams, yeah. Good teams, good defense, good offense, running game going. Yeah, you bypass all those guys so you can get another damn check. And then we wondering why we sick of talking about Desmond Ritter. You see, like this motherfucker went from Kyler Murray to Ryan fucking Tannehill, who damn near out of the fucking league. Are you fucking kidding me? How are you gonna tell me as a player of football that you want to win, and you go to damn Tennessee with Ryan Tannehill and Will Levis and Malik Willis? These motherfuckers don't even know who the fuck their quarterback gonna be. But you gonna tell me that you want to win games? You want to tell me that you want to win games and do all this? You know what I'm saying? You tell me that you want to win games, but we always focus on how many wide receivers are we going to get, who's going to be our second wide receiver. We got enough guys. We got Mac Hollins. He's a solid wide receiver himself. Scotty Miller. We got Jonnu Smith. We have Kyle Pitts, who's coming back. He's healthy. And all we want to do is talk about offense. Well, this day is the day. This is why I say nobody cares about the defense. We spending so much time focusing on the damn quarterback. We're going to talk about this defense. So this is why I wanted to say and bring to light. And, typically outside of the season, nobody wants to talk about it. So I don't get a lot of views when we talk about defense. That's just the facts about it. We don't get a lot of views. We don't get a lot of attention when we start talking about defense. But we didn't worry about, for years we seen Matt Ryan and Julio, them guys put up 30 points, and then wondering why we not winning games, why we can't get to the Super Bowl, why we constantly getting bounced out of the playoffs in the first half. No reason at all. So I apologize for that, people. But when it comes down to this, when it comes down to the defense and like just like I said, our fan base in general, like we don't want to focus on what needs to be said and what needs to be talked about. We want to be entertained. Um, and like I said, that's one of the major reasons why, me personally. Yeah, I saw that Blackberry. Haven't had get the chance to really see the entire thing, but Blackberry actually talked about some defense earlier. Was like this is this is one the most important aspect of this team right now. Everybody's so focused on the quarterback position and the offense, and you so worried about whether Arthur Smith is the guy. I think that's the wrong way, and just it sets a terrible. It's like if you're building a team from the ground up, like you always want to make sure that you have great defensive players. I always want to make sure you have something to build on in the trenches. Or else you got nothing. How are you going to get after the quarterback? How are you going to sack the other guys if you don't have great defensive players? Every team that has ever won championship, these guys have always had great, and I'm talking about great to good to great defensive lines. You can't win championships without a good defensive line. You can't win championship without good defensive players. Gotta have defensive players. Gotta have defensive players. You have to have defensive players. So we're so focused on Desmond Ritter and whether Arthur Smith is the guy, but we're not giving Jerry Gray enough credit. Everywhere this guy has gone, when it comes down to the secondary, he's had master playmakers. We have a guy that quietly became a part of our staff that nobody's giving any credit to, and that's Steven Jackson. Steven Jackson is our passing defensive backs coach and passing game. He helps Jerry Gray with the passing game, as far as coordinating that. And nobody cares. Nobody gives a damn about that. These are the things when you talk about great defenses, going all the way back to the Chicago Bears and the '85 Bears to the '93 to '95 Dallas Cowboys. It's like these guys have always had good defensive lines and great defensive backs. Okay, these guys have always had these types of players. So when it comes down to like building the team, one of the aspects that we least give any respect to is the defensive line. Nobody's asking the question of whether or not Grady Jarrett is going to be a good player, a great player, how many sacks he's going to, like how Calais Campbell is going to make a tremendous impact on the defense in its entirety. Calais Campbell with his leadership, Calais Campbell with his ability to not only stop the run, I think that's one of the things that's going to allow guys like Ogumdeji to focus on one aspect that we need them to do. We need Ogumdeji to get after the quarterback. Okay, he's been a major disappointment in the pass rush department. Now, he's very good at stopping the run. He's a damn good tackler. He sets the edge extremely well. But at some point, we need to get sacks. We need to get after the quarterback. We need to bring these guys to the ground. We need to hit quarterbacks as many times as possible. And this is where Ogumdeji, if the Atlanta Falcons defense is going to be good, if the secondary is going to get a lot of interceptions and we're going to get a lot of picks, well, we need these guys to get after the quarterback and hit the quarterback as many times as possible. So this is Ogumdeji. I would actually like to see what you guys think when it comes down to the players that you feel as though that's going to end up making an impact on the defensive side of the ball as far as the pass rush is concerned. Because I think we got a solid number of I think we have a solid number of defensive guys that can stop the run, set the edge. Like I said, Ogumdeji is that guy for me. I think Ogumdeji is a guy that we can focus on. and you know, him to stop the run, be solid against the run, set the edge, and then open gaps for guys like Trey Anderson and Michael Walker. They kind of just all they would have to do is just focus on, you know, tackling the ball. That's all they gotta just focus on, tackling the running back, the ball carrier, whoever that is. So Ogundeji, in my opinion, if he can get around 5 sacks, I think that's a win for him. You know, I think he's another one of those guys that's on the brink of possibly getting cut or traded. He hasn't provided much of anything on the defense side of the ball. Now, that could change due to the fact we have a different defensive coordinator. Now, defensive coordinator might prioritize a guy like Ogundeji. So we don't know how Ron Nielsen is going to react to Ogundeji. He might like him in certain situations because he's going to stop the run a lot more. So that leaves guys like D'Angelo Malone. If D'Angelo Malone isn't very good at stopping the run, but he gets after the quarterback, guess what? Ogundeji gonna get a lot of snaps. All right, Ogundeji get a lot of snaps. Now there's one guy. I'm just. That's probably not as a hot take as. I think this is probably not as hot as a hot take is going to be, because I think a lot of people, especially Atlanta Falcons fans, know what we got in this kid, and that's Arnold Ebiketie. Arnold Ebiketie. I got another guy too that I'm gonna get, but I think Arnold Ebiketie is going to be in a position where he can quite possibly be a star. I think this kid can be a star. And I'm talking about star as far as the numbers. I think he's going to be that guy that's going to benefit from the Falcons' defensive line. I think he's going to benefit from the Atlanta Falcons' defensive line being able to get after the quarterback and stop the run. I think he's going to benefit from Calais Campbell being there, Grady Jarrett being there, David Onyemata. Those three guys are going to help Arnold Ebiketie do what he does best, and that's get after the quarterback. The guy has great moves. He has great hand play. He's very good with his hands. Obviously, he can bend the corner, and that's the thing when you look at for edge rushers, how good are they at bending the edge? I think Arnold Ebiketie is one of those young guys that a lot of players aren't focusing on, a lot of fans aren't really focused on, a lot of analysts aren't really focusing on. So they start, because they're looking at Grady Jarrett, they're looking at Calais Campbell, they're looking at David Onyemata. But I think Arnold Ebiketie is going to be one of those guys that's going to have anywhere from 12 to 15 sacks. I truly believe that, because he's going to be the guy that's just, all right, when Calais go out, we stop the run. David Onyemata go out, he stopped the run. Grady's in there, and possibly if Grady needs a breath or two, Arnold Ebiketie is he's going to step up and be one of the best defensive linemen that we have on the roster. I truly believe that. Like I said, if you look at a lot of his play last year, dude was held a hell of a lot. This is where, for me in the NFL, I think a lot of people do this. I think this is a major issue for me, especially for the refs. The refs are so focused on players earning their right, they don't call the right play. And I think that's bullshit. Like, I really do think that's bullshit. I don't give a fuck how long a guy's been in the league. You don't not call a holding play because he's a rookie. And we see this shit happen all the time. We see defensive players that you see offensive linemen that hold defensive players, but because he's a rookie, he won't get the call. And this is what happened with Arnold Ebiketie all last year. He was held a hell of a lot, especially with the the offensive linemen in our division. You look at how he played against the Tampa Bay Bucks. The Bucks held the hell out of him. The Saints. This dude was held a hell of a lot. He bent corners. He played both sides of the line, but he never got the respect when it came down to the call. Why? Because he's a damn rookie, and this is one of the aspects of football that I can't stand. If you don't come out the gate with a reputation like a Von Miller or a Julius Pepper as a rookie, they're not gonna give you respect. They're not gonna give you respect, and that's what those. That's one thing in the NFL we see way too many, and we saw that even with Grady Jarrett. His sacks, and we were just having a conversation with Grady Jarrett about he was like he was on a fourth. He was on like a three. He had like a 3 to 4 game um, streak when they end up calling that bullshit against him. Obviously, that pass in the roughing the pass on Tom Brady, and they took that streak away. They took that streak away because of politics, and this is one of the reasons why I think it's hard for defensive guys, especially up front, to showcase their talent because y'all giving these offensive linemen leeway. You're giving a lot of these offensive linemen leeway to hold guys, and it's like one of the things too that I despise is too. It's like you give all certain offensive linemen the leeway to hold. I've seen games where the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line, they mauling guys, driving guys to the ground, and we do the exact same thing, and they call a holding on Caleb McGarry. I've seen that several times during the game where Caleb McGarry and Chris Lindstrom and those guys. Chris Lindstrom don't get a lot of holding, but you seen where they drive guys to the ground and then we get called for a holding penalty because you drove a guy to the ground. I seen that happen with Dahlman. Dahlman drove guys, defensive linemen, linebackers to the ground, and we getting a holding penalty because you drove a guy to the ground. So it's all about when it comes down to the Falcons. I think it starts with the defensive edge guys. I think our defensive tackles, Grady Jarrett, he stays healthy. Grady Jarrett's going to have about 8 sacks. He has more help. The Falcons are going to be able to stop the run. And with a guy like David Onyemata, who's great with his hands, one of the things about him, he's great with his hands. And well, sorry about that. I don't know who the hell want to call me on this phone. Nobody calls me. But I think one of the things too, when it comes down to this Falcons front, man, it's like we're not giving a lot of respect to our edge guys. We're not giving respect to a guy like Honor Ebiketie. And that's not even like we got 2 guys that, in my opinion, is going to do great things for this defensive line. And I'm gonna tell you another guy that pretty much a lot of people have forgotten about. Obviously, you have Lorenzo Carter there. Yeah, Lorenzo Carter. He's a guy that's like, I think Lorenzo Carter too is he's another guy when you look at him. Um, he's a guy that can get you 5 to 10 sacks himself, especially with a defensive line, defensive tackles like Grady Jarrett, David Onyemata, and I think Timmy Horn. Timmy Horn played well towards the end of the year. I think he did a great job of playing inside and out. Timmy Horn is another wild card that a lot of people aren't focusing on because obviously, like I said, with Grady Jarrett and David Onyemata, like those guys are going, unnoticed. And I think Timmy Horn, Eddie Goldman, like this team is stacked when it comes down to defensive tackles, defensive edge guys. You got Lorenzo Carter, Honor Ebiketie. You got Eddie Goldman that's coming back. He's fresh for the most part from retirement. You got David Onyemata, another guy. And then, like I said, I got two guys that people need to focus on, man. One guy, he actually got hurt right along with Kyle Pitts toward the end of the year, is Taquan Graham. The dude was an absolute menace before he got hurt. If you go back and look at the Chicago Bears, where he got the Chicago Bears game, obviously he had the terrible play, but like before, like this dude was an absolute menace. He had found his niche in the Atlanta Falcons defense. He knew how to play, and one thing about Taquan Graham that a lot of people are not like focusing on, this dude can get after the quarterback, man. He has great hands. Taquan Graham has great hands. He may not be the fastest or the quickest guy, but he knows how to. He's like a martial artist. Like he's like one of those guys, like the martial artists, and a guy like those. He's like a great judo. He's like a great judo fighter. Those guys know leverage. They know how to throw your weight. They know how to manipulate your weight. They know how to manipulate, your feet and legs. This is what Taquan Graham does. I've seen him go up against defensive linemen, offensive linemen that got 40, 50 pounds over him, 30, 40 pounds over him. And he physically throw these guys. And like I said, this is just Taquan Graham. Another guy that nobody's focusing on. Everybody's so focused on Desmond, Arthur Smith, but we got some damn good defensive players on that line. Like I said, Taquan Graham was on a roll. Taquan Graham was on a roll before he got hurt. And like I said, these are the things when you talk about, this Atlanta Falcons team, is that everybody's so focused on the offense, everybody's so focused on the offensive line, the running game, Bijan Robinson, and for good reason. But you gotta look at what this Atlanta Falcons defense has. They have some damn good players. Like people totally forgot about Taquan Graham. The dude is great. And him and Grady, these guys are damn near best friends. Him and Taquan about Grady. So Grady is already taking Taquan under his wing. He's showing on the ropes. He's showing this kid how to beat offensive linemen, how to use your weight, how to use your footwork, how to understand what offensive linemen are doing. He's already teaching that. Grady's in a mentor position right now. He's still in his prime, but Grady in a position where he can mentor a guy like Taquan Graham. And I just named those two guys. Nobody has said nothing about this guy. It's been months, and nobody has said anything about, guess who? Zach Harrison. Nobody has stated anything about Zach Harrison. It's like he fell off the face of the earth. It's like he fell off the face of the earth, Zach Harrison has. Nobody cares about Zach Harrison. Nobody's focused on Zach Harrison whatsoever. He's another one of those guys that's built like Calais Campbell. I'm like, if you have, one of the things I say this year with the Atlanta Falcons, their team is going to be in a position where they just physically dominate the opponent. Over time, teams are not going to be able to run on these guys. Over time, teams are just going to get tired. And then this is what you're going to bring in a D'Angelo Malone. You're going to bring in a Troy Anderson to play edge. Because him and Caden Ellis, Michael Walker, those guys are interchangeable at middle linebacker. These are the things that you're going to be able to see from this defense. They got players that can do multiple things and not just one thing. And this is one of the main reasons why Rashaan Evans isn't on this team. The Falcons want the ability to adjust to any and everything. And this is nothing against Rashaan Evans. I thought he did a wonderful job with the Atlanta Falcons last year. But this is what the Falcons want. They want versatility on both sides of the ball. And Zach Harrison is another one of those guys. He built like Calais Campbell. The dude's like 6'6", 6'8", 270-something pounds, 80-something pounds. He's a freak of nature. Nobody's focusing on him. Nobody cares about what the hell, nobody cares about what he's doing. Everyone is focusing on the quarterback position. This Atlanta Falcons defense is going to be able to make a ton of plays up front. Lorenzo Carter, Ogum Deji, D'Angelo Malone. Like, these guys are going to be able to make plays. Zach Harrison on the outside. You're going to have Grady going to be able to play on the outside. So a lot of these offensive linemen, these offensive tackles, these guys may not see the same guy all game. The offensive lineman may not see the same defensive guy the entire game. You think you going into a game? This is why the Falcons got. This is why depth is important, because in a game. And this is where the Atlanta Falcons, I really think the Atlanta Falcons defense is going to come out and make a lot of plays early, because this is the first time anybody in this division has seen most of these guys. They're not going to have the pleasure of having film on a Calais Campbell with the Atlanta Falcons, a Calais Campbell with a Grady Jarrett, a Zach Harrison next to a Grady Jarrett, a Zach Harrison next to like a guy, he's another, like Zach Harrison, he can play inside and outside. He has the body structure to be able to play inside and outside. The Falcons now have the ability to rotate players and put players in different spots. And Calais Campbell is another one of those guys. He can play every spot on the defensive line, whether it's 3-4 or 4-3. Grady Jarrett is another guy. You could put him anywhere on the line, and he's going to play. He's going to play well. He's going to get after the quarterback. This is what the Atlanta Falcons have when it comes down to this defense, and what teams cannot. They cannot prepare for this. They're not going to be able to prepare for a Grady Jarrett next to a Calais Campbell. Why? Because it hasn't happened. It hasn't happened. So, like I said before, man, it's like I said, I understand that a lot of people, love the offense. A lot of people love, to see big numbers. But I think this team, man, is really, it's going to shock a lot of people. We so focused on putting up big numbers and having great stats, 300, 400 yards, seeing quarterback throw for 5 touchdowns. But I think this team is going to be built more like, it's going to be a complete team. I think it's going to be an awful like 2016, where you had Matt Ryan. Yeah, he had an MVP. He had an MVP year, and he damn near had 40-something touchdowns. But most of those touchdowns, like Matt Ryan threw for a good amount of touchdowns, but he threw for an NFL record to like 13 different receivers. 13 different players in that Super Bowl year. This is what the Atlanta Falcons offense is going to look like. We're getting back to sharing the load and playing team ball. This is one of the things I'll always give Kyle Shanahan credit for. As a play caller, he doesn't get carried away. At times he can be a complete fucking moron, and well, I ain't know at times. He's a complete fucking moron in the playoffs. I don't know what it is with Kyle Shanahan when he get in the playoffs. He just act like a fucking total nut job, but he always has his offense set to where everybody is gonna be in on the festivities. This is what the Atlanta Falcons are. We're not gonna pass the ball to Kyle Pitts 20 times in a game. Now, if Kyle Pitts is hot, I think you'll see that, but for the most part, I think you're gonna see Bijan with 2 touchdowns. He's gonna have like 10 carries for 50 yards and then another 50 yards as a receiver. Then you got CP. He gonna come in full quarter in the end zone. You know, you're gonna run the ball with him. You can split him out wide. You can run a reverse with CP while Bijan is in there. Then you got Tyler Algier, who's just an absolute stud when it comes down to him being, you know, our physical. He's our physical dominator. He's our T.J. Duckett. He's our Jerome Bettis. He's our Mike Allstott. He's our hammer. So the Atlanta Falcons offense is going to be so much better because we have an offense that's predicated on giving everybody involved, and it's not going to be the Julio and Matt Ryan show. This team is going to share ball, and this is how the defense is going to be. It's not just going to be the Grady Jarrett show. We're going to see Calais Campbell get off one game. We're going to see Ebiketie get off one game. We see Troy Anderson get off one game. We're going to see A.J. Terrell. We're going to see Jesse Bates have a hell of a game. We're going to see Richie Grant. And I think Richie Grant is going to be poised to be a Pro Bowl safety because he got a safety next to him that's going to make the reads for him. Nothing against Jalen Hawkins, but that's a massive upgrade with just the experience alone with Jesse Bates there. So this Atlanta Falcons defense is going to be able to do so many things from our own division. They have not seen the Jesse Bates in this defense. They have not seen the Calais Campbell. They haven't seen the David Onyemata, a Caden Ellis, a Jeff Okudah, a Clark Phillips. Like, these are some damn good players that the Falcons have on the defensive side of the ball. And nobody's talking about it because we're so infatuated by the damn quarterback position. Is the quarterback position a position that you need? Of course. How important is it? It's very important. You need an offense. You need your quarterback to be able to, to run it, know everyone's job, and run it smoothly without hiccup. The term game manager has been destroyed because of ESPN. The term game manager has always been the case for quarterbacks. It's always been the case for quarterbacks when it comes down to being a games manager. It's frowned upon when you use that word, game manager. It's frowned upon these days. So, like I said, AK actually did well generating pressures last season. Yeah, that's the thing. I think he led his class in like pressures and sacks. I think he was like top 2 in pressures and sacks in his class. That's why I say it's like, look, bro, we have some damn good players that, like, nobody's mentioning Zach Harrison. This dude had a first-round grade actually on him last year. He had a first-round grade on him last year, and then he ended up like having a subpar year. Ohio State didn't have as many sacks that they thought he would. They kind of moved him to a different, like, they kind of used him as a run stuffer than anything at Ohio State. So they didn't even use him correctly. And Zach Harrison, we got damn near a first round talent in the second round with Zach Harrison. These are the things we be talking about. Like, we got some talented guys in the mid rounds, and these guys at one point was considered to be a first round talent. And we got these guys on our defensive line. The two stepped on is Hollins and Jonnu Smith. Dre, what's up? Yeah, and that's why I said I wanted to focus on the defense side of the ball because like I said, it's typical for everybody to say, all right, the quarterback, running back, wide receiver. But nobody focuses on, and this is like I'm gonna say this too, the impact that a Jonnu Smith and Scotty Miller is gonna make for this offense and this team is gonna be so big. It's gonna be huge. Scotty Miller is a hell of a receiver, especially in the slot, and you can just use his speed and his experience. Yeah, this guy's a speedster. When the ball in his hands, and you know, like the thing about this with a lot of people not focusing on too, and I find it just incredibly disrespectful, and that Arthur Smith is just a run offensive guru. This dude is brilliant when it comes down to running the damn ball and using the pass game and the screen game as an extension of the run game. I think he's really underrated. I think he really is underrated. It's two coaches that I compare him to when it comes down to how he utilizes the running game and the extension of the running game. It reminds me of two people, two coaches. One I just named, and Kyle Shanahan, and the other one, and that's what made him a Hall of Fame coach, is Sean Payton. Sean Payton does an incredible job of using the one, he uses a lot of flats. He throws the ball to the flats. He uses his running backs in the passing game. That's one. And then he uses them in the screen game. He uses these guys in the screen game. It's the same thing that Kyle Shanahan does with Debo, Elijah Mitchell, all of these types of guys. So the disrespect when it comes down to Arthur Smith, and we say, all right, we don't have a number two. Well, you got guys like Scotty Miller. If Scotty Miller, with his speed, and I think Madden just had him ranked as a 95. Like he's ranked at 95, his overall speed is 95. He believes he's the fastest guy in the NFL. Scotty Miller believes he's the fastest guy. Yet to be determined, but he believes that he is the fastest guy in the NFL. So you give a guy like Scotty Miller open field on a screen, and he's scot-free because you got to double team with Kyle Pitts, you got to double team, and you have to pay attention to a Jonnu Smith, because if Jonnu Smith is one-on-one with your second or third best linebacker or safety that's not good in coverage, he gonna eat them alive. This is the disrespect that Arthur Smith is getting right now. People are not thinking about this type of stuff. The Falcons offense is predicated on running the ball in time of possession and getting guys in space. And when you get these guys in space, like a Jonnu and a Scotty Miller, these guys can turn a 10-yard slant into they can turn a 10-yard crossing route or drag route into a touchdown. We've seen Tyreek Hill do this for years. We've seen Sky Moore right there with the Chiefs doing the exact same. That boy turned a damn, that dude turned a broken play with Patrick Mahomes, a completely broken play, and turned that shit into a touchdown. These are the types of things that we're going to be able to do. And this is why I'm like, people so focused on Desmond Ridder as a passer, but you completely disrespecting him as a runner. It's disgusting to see how people are disrespecting Desmond Ridder and his athletic ability. It's fucking disgusting. He's one of the best running quarterbacks in the history of college, and we don't even respect, we don't even see that. That dude put up good numbers as a runner. He can run, we've seen him do it. This dude is a hell of an athlete. Nobody's looking at the fact that Desmond Ridder can turn a blitz. If you all out blitz the Falcons, if you turn around and send 6-7 guys at Desmond Ridder, if you don't tackle Desmond Ridder can take that shit 30-40 yards. These are the things that teams are totally disrespected when it comes down to Arthur Smith. This is why you want to have a second tight end. Because if all the focus is on Kyle Pitts, guess what? Jonnu Smith is going to be wide open. If you got a double Kyle Pitts, guess what? The lanes for the quarterback is going to be wide open. This is why Lamar Jackson has been so dangerous as a runner for years, because you have to double Mark Andrews. And when you have a tight end like that, it's going to be space galore for running back. It's going to be space galore for a quarterback. It's disrespectful and it's outright idiotic for any player, any analyst, any player that has ever played the game to totally disrespect an offensive, Arthur Smith offensive. That Tennessee offense has not been the same since he left. Why? Because he knows how to create space. Space in the NFL for offense and for players is everything. It's paramount. That's why the Atlanta Falcons offense sputtered under Matt Ryan and Julio, because we didn't have a consistent guy in the middle of the field. Because we knew them, and there's no disrespect to Calvin Ridley, but we know he wasn't finna go across the middle. And Austin Hooper had already gone. So we didn't have a guy in the middle of the field. And when Matt Ryan got Kyle Pitts became a Pro Bowler first year. So space with these tight ends, and you got two tight ends for the Atlanta Falcons. You got two tight ends in Jonnu Smith and Kyle Pitts right now. It's space galore. So these wide receivers, Drake London might have a 1,500-yard game. I'm gonna be real. Drake London might fuck around and have 1,400 yards to 1,500 yards because of the space that he's going to be able to operate in, just in itself. And this is the same exact thing when it comes down to the defense side of the ball. Troy Anderson might have a fucking Pro Bowl year because he got Grady Jarrett in the middle. He got David Onyemata. You got Eddie Goldman. You got Taquan Graham. You got Timmy Horn. That's a 5-man defensive rotation that nobody fucking paying no attention to and nobody giving no respect to. The Falcons have a deep defensive tackle. If Carolina fuck around and lose Derrick Brown, they are done. If we lose David Onyemata or a Grady Jarrett, God forbid that, we still got two quality defensive tackles. These are the things that depth does for you. This is why it's very important for people to just focus on the mismatches. Because if teams lose one player, if the Saints lose one guy, if they lose Cam Jordan, they done. That defense is done. It's done. That is not the same defense. If the Bucs fuck around and lose Antoine Winfield and that defensive secondary, that team is done. If the Carolina Panthers lose Derrick Brown or Burns, yeah, they done. Especially Brown. They lose Brown, they done. Again, these are the things that people they're not focusing on because we got ESPN and all these other analysts and these fantasy football guys so focused on who's going to be the next quarterback. Yeah. Russell Gage was a guy, he's just a damn crash test dummy. He couldn't stay healthy at all. So it's like, even with the great Tom Brady, the great Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, they always had 2 or 3 guys that can control the middle of the field. When you as an offense can control the middle of the field, you win. You cannot be stopped offensively because you control and you dictate the coverages. And all running backs and players like Julio and Bijan, all these dudes need is a crease. That's it. You fuck around and get Julio. We saw this shit plenty of time. You fucked around and get Julio a crease, he taking that bitch to the house. You fuck around and get Bijan a crease, yeah, he taking that bitch to the house. You give CP a crease, we seen it. He's taking that bitch to the house. So picture you got a guy like, again, this is what we're talking about. Speed does matter, but depth means more. Because if you got a Julio, if you got a Calvin Ridley, you got a Tony Gonzalez all on one team, it's space galore. And this is why a lot of teams had a trouble with that Falcons early, especially with Tony Gonzalez, Mike Turner, Julio Jones, Roddy Wright, is because it was just space galore. I'm gonna be real, the only reason why we didn't get to the Super Bowl that year in 2012 is because Mike Turner ended up getting hurt. That Falcons would have won the Super Bowl that year. We would have kicked everybody's ass. If Mike Turner was healthy, we would have ran that bitch down. We would have blew every team out in the playoffs if that dude was healthy. We was already, look, it was 21-17? Bro, we already had a lead. This is what balance and depth does for you. This is why Arthur Smith, everybody up here focusing on, oh, we need to get 3 and 4 wide receivers. Cincinnati having a fucking hard time. They just asked their running back to take a pay cut. And none of their wide receivers ain't got paid yet. This man knows exactly what he's doing. Let me say this again. Cincinnati's already having a hard time playing their players, of trying to figure out the contract, and they have not even been paid yet. So, like I said, man, it's gonna be scary. Like I said, the offense for the Atlanta Falcons is no longer gonna be aired out. You know, you're still gonna see a lot of formations where it's gonna be 4 wides. You're gonna see 4 or 5 wides, but a lot of those wide receivers are not gonna be wide receivers. You might see 2-3 running backs. You might see 2 or 3 tight ends and 1 wide receiver or 2 wide receivers. But all these guys are going to have that ability to run after the catch. This is the versatility that we're talking about. This is what when we talk about positionless football, this is exactly what we mean by it. If you can just create a system where guys have space to run after the catch, this is what made Georgia so great. This is why the Georgia offense was able to do what they would do. You had Stetson Bennett running the rock. He was a threat to run the ball. You had Milton, you had Edwards. Those guys could run the ball. You had a great offensive line, but you had Big O, and then you had another tight end, and regarded as the greatest tight end to ever play the game, and Brock Bowers. Like, the NFL is going towards space, creating space, so athletes can hit those creases and go 70 yards just off a slant. I think the biggest misconception when you talk about big plays in the NFL is that everybody think it has to come via a deep pass, and that's just so far from the truth. If you look at most of Jerry Rice's big plays, it came off crossing routes and slants, and he took them damn things to the house. I mean, Johnny Abraham was that, but like I said, if I don't think that would even matter. Like, Johnny Abraham was still able to play. He wasn't super effective, but half of Johnny Abraham is still better than most players. But the point is, if Michael Turner is hurt, they can't stop the run. They had a hard time stopping, a 60% Michael Turner, because that's what Michael Turner was in that damn game. He was about 60%. So, like I said, when it comes down to it, man, it's like balance and creating spaces. Is where it's at. I had no idea. Yeah, man. Yeah, they just asked, bro. Cincinnati just literally asked the running back to take a pay cut. This man just took a pay cut. And we up here talking about bringing another run. Like, we up here talking about drafting another wide receiver, bringing another wide receiver. These guys haven't even signed Jamar Chase and no other wide receiver, the other 2 wide receivers. They haven't even signed Big Joe Burrow to a contract yet. But we up here talking about, like, we need to get more weapons. Like, nah, bro. at the end of the day, I think a lot of people are just, we focus on the wrong thing because the media said so. The media is what drives most of our opinions. And what's up, Anthony White? What's up, Ghost Peppers? ATL Leo, as usual, with Silas. But I think, when it comes down to it, I understand why a lot of these players are frustrated, and they do have, look, I'm gonna be real, man. I'm gonna be completely and 100% honest about every aspect of everything about this NFL market and the money. The problem is it's too popular. The game right now is too popular. The NFL is way too popular. That's the problem with the NFL. It's too popular, bro. The game of the NFL is way too popular. And the reason why I say it's too popular, because everybody watches it. It's like soccer. Everybody all over the world likes soccer. Everybody over the world loves soccer. They make so much money in soccer. It's just like, hell, some of the backup guys, making $10 million just sit on the bench in soccer. It's too much money and it's way too popular there. So when you have the game continuously growing, the biggest issue you're gonna have is everybody gonna have their hands stuck out. This position group and this general manager and this head coach, he gonna think he's the reason why they have success, and everybody gonna be fighting over money. I'm like, I mean more. No, I mean more. No, I'm the best. I scored the most touchdowns. No, I did this, and I've been here for 5 years, and I've been here for 10 years. This is the main reason why we having so many players crying about money right now, because the game is too damn popular. When you have an increase of money, when you have an increase of revenue and popularity and the explosion of social media, everybody think they're a superstar. Everybody think they're a star. I have 30 million followers on Instagram. I have 50 million on Twitter. Everybody, because you have a social media following and you always on ESPN, everybody think they're a superstar. And the numbers say as such. The numbers say that you are a star. ESPN shows you that you are good. The fans seeing you coming out and paying money for your jerseys, they're seeing it. And this is the problem with the NFL. It's way too damn popular. The game has never been more popular than it is, and than it is now. They've never made this much money in the NFL. This is the main issue what's wrong with NFL and the players. Everybody's seeing all the money that's coming, and they see the 400, they see the 10, 20 billion dollars that owners are making off just the TV contracts and people wanting to see it. And then you sell, you got gambling that's involved, so even more money is being poured into the sport. Like, this is the problem with the NFL. This is the problem with a lot of these players. They spend so much money and everybody got their hand out. I want a piece, you want a piece, they want a piece, he want a piece, she want a piece, they want a piece. Like, everybody want a piece. And everybody have a reason why they should have a piece. But at the end of the day, I always say this: work for it. Stop crying. Work for it. There's more than one way to get a piece of that NFL check. And it doesn't always have to be by you running to the damn to the board of directors or the board of the NFLPA. Like, you ain't gotta run to the NFLPA to get a piece of that NFL check. If you were smart, you would invest into some, and if you were a smart football player, you would invest into an agency, and then you would become a broker yourself. You can broker your own deal as an NFL, but we got so many players that's crying and whining because they ain't getting. I feel I'm the best player on the team, so they want to hold out and do all this shit. Just get smart. Do like Trey, LeBron, and Kobe and all these guys. Create a media company and you become your own boss. And you hire other, journalists to speak on your behalf. Because you can do that. Like we seen Kwame Brown. This guy was considered a bust. He has one of the biggest platforms in sports. This dude got almost 300,000. And this dude was considered a bust. And his channel is massive. But we got guys like Saquon Barkley here crying because he's not getting the extra 15 million. You can get that 10, 15 million off endorsements, getting it off the field. Stop fucking crying. You're dumb ass, like I said, you're dumb ass kids. You spoiled fucking rotten. You're used to everybody bringing you things and telling you great and I can get you $5 million. All you got to do is just sit there and run the damn ball. If you run the damn ball, I can give you an extra $10 million. No, use your fucking head. I can't get the $10 million from the owners. Well, let me go get this deal with ESPN. Let me go get this deal. I'm gonna create a podcast, and I'm gonna get 3 of my homeboys who will retire, and they gonna run the show for me until I retire. No, you don't want to fucking think. This is wrong with these damn players. They fucking lazy ass, bum ass players. They some dumb ass jocks. Let's just keep it real. They dumb ass jocks, and they don't want to use their damn brain. So they sit there and cry and talk about the blame. He's not giving me what I want. No, it's not a bad thing. The NFL popularity is not a bad thing. I'm gonna say it just like this. When you have, all right, let's just say you stand in a $10 million home. $10 million home. Everybody in the house making about $1 million a piece. You got about 5 people that make about $1 million a piece. The house is worth $10 million itself. But you got 5 people that make about $1 million. So after a while, let's say 5, 10 years down the road, well, the property on that house end up going up. The area, they start investing into the area. They start bringing in, big golf courses, and rich people start moving in the neighborhood, and then the property value on the house start going up. So you saying to yourself, well, shit, damn, this $10 million house is now worth $100 million. So guess what? Everybody in that house was like, well, I pitched in on that 10 million, man, over the course of 5 years. I want a piece of that too. Your wife gonna be looking cricket. The husband gonna be looking cricket. Well, I want more. I did this, and I put this in there, and I do this, this is what you having with the NFL. It's a successful product, but with more money, you got more problems. When you got more money, you're gonna have more people. They not gonna always say it, but they're gonna be looking at you sideways and say, man, this motherfucker gonna give me $5 million. He's sitting up there with $200 million, but you're gonna only give me $5 million? That's some bullshit. This is what happening in the NFL. This is what happened in the NFL. So much success, and with the boom of social media, we just got another social media platform. YouTube has become the #1 viewed platform for podcasting, surpassing Spotify. YouTube has become the #1 source for podcasting. People go to YouTube to get all their entertainment, most of their entertainment when it comes down to sports. It's just entertainment in itself. So when you have that natural boom, like everybody, again, this is what everybody gonna have their hand out. And this is what's going on with the NFL. Everybody got their hand out. Everybody want a piece of it. And like I said, everybody has a right, but at the end of the day, it's like you're not guaranteed anything because you feel like you played the game hard or you put in more years and I got hurt and I played through injuries and I sacrificed when y'all didn't. Look, at the end of the day, none of that shit matters. If you can't find a way to hustle, that's your fault. That's never Arthur Blank's. That's never Arthur Blank's fault. My opinion as a football player, when you first get that $1 million check, and you make your first $1 million check, and if you fuck around and buy a damn Rolls Royce with your $1 million check, that's your stupid ass. That's not Arthur Blank's fault because you want to live a lavish lifestyle that you can't really even afford. That's your dumb ass fault. So, like I said, man, I think the biggest issue is that players want to live a certain lifestyle. They want to be LeBron with worth $100-something million or whatever, damn near a billionaire. They want to be Michael Jordan and have, sell the Charlotte Hornets for $15-20 billion or something like that. They want to be Michael Jordan, but chances are you never gonna be that. So it's up to you to use your money in the best way possible and stop, just like I said, stop fucking crying. If you made $100 million, if you made $10 million, no player should be complaining about contracts. Because chances are, like in most people's lives, they're never gonna see $10 million. Chances are I'm never gonna see $10 million. I hope I'm wrong. God Lord, I hope I'm wrong. But the chances are that the regular guys like you and I, we probably, especially if we're not athletes, we don't hit the lottery or we don't, come up with a great business plan, like chances are we'll never see $100 million. So it's your fault if you don't know how to double and triple your money. And a lot of them, like, they go out here and buy all these lavish cars, and this is what, if you go back and look at the podcast with Johnny Abraham, Harry Douglas, this is something they were talking about. Guys out here buying fucking jewelry. It's like, hey man, you ain't Ronald Acuna. Here, Ronald Acuna can afford to spend a couple $1 million on a diamond piece. Bro, you just making $10 million and you spending $3 million on a fucking diamond piece. Man, that's so fucking crazy. Just so you can go to the club and have somebody take your picture on Instagram and say, damn, that's a nice piece. But is that piece gonna make you money? Chances are a diamond necklace ain't gonna make you no more money. But like I said, this is why I say that I have no sympathy and I have no empathy for guys like Saquon Barkley up here crying for another $15 million. Bro, you up here crying over an extra $5 million. I want to get paid $20 million a year. Man, get out of my face. If you want that extra $5 million, well, look, you already said you're gonna be gone in 8, and you don't see yourself playing past 8 years. So why the fuck am I gonna give you extra money? Again, this is the crazy part. So what I'm saying with the Atlanta Falcons and how they're structuring not only this team, they're not putting so much money in superstar players. Now, you're gonna have players that are gonna, you draft certain guys, obviously they're gonna turn into superstar players, but these players they're gonna have to buy into the system. So if you don't buy into the system, Arthur Smith is gonna trade your ass. We've seen it time and time again. Julio, Matt Ryan, Calvin Ridley. This guy don't care nothing about him and Terry Fontenot, Arthur Blank don't care nothing about whether or not you're a superstar. If I can avoid paying you $50 million at quarterback, they're going to do everything possible to not pay you that money. So, like I said, at the end of the day, bro, like I said, I understand the need and a want for drafting a quarterback. I understand that. I'm a fan of the game just like you guys. I like to see big plays and highlights. But I want my team to be here for years. I want my team to be on top for years. I don't want to be continuously paying quarterbacks $50 million a year to do some shit that a guy like a Desmond Ritter can do. Desmond Ritter can pass for 4,000 yards too. If you give him a bunch of damn weapons, if you give him a bunch of weapons and the right system and the right defense, of course he can pass for 4,000 yards. I ain't got to pay him $50 million to do that. We got Geno Smith up here making $50 million. $50 million? Geno Smith making $50 million. And you up here talking about, you crying? Nah, bro. And we say this to players all the time. If you want more money, you got to give something back. Players don't want to give anything back. They want more guaranteed money. So if you want more guaranteed money, you're going to have to do like Patrick Mahomes did. You're going to have to go back to the negotiating table every year or every other year to get, because the next, like if you fall off, and this is the thing that players don't want to talk about. They want to talk about what they've done, but they never want to talk about if your play has declined, have your numbers declined. Should I have to pay? This is a question I have for y'all. If let's just say Desmond Ritter passed for 5,000 yards this year. Let's just say he passed for 5,000 yards this year. And he ended up, let's just say this is his last year in his contract. Let's just say this is his last year in his contract. He passed for 5,000 yards this year, and we have relatively no history on him, and this is his last year. He played, let's just say he passed for his first year, he passed for like 1,200. Second year, he passed for about 2,500. And then in his last year of his contract, he turned around and passed for 5,000. I just say he passed for 5,000 in his last year. Well, the guy that been that inconsistent with his numbers, is it fair for an organization to say, is it fair for the player to go, well, I passed for 5,000 yards. Not too many players have done that. Not too many players have done that. I want $50 million for the next 2 to 3 years. Desmond goes he goes to his agent and say, I want $50 million a year from the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons gives him that. But they put it in the contract. Well, Desmond Ritter doesn't want to sign a contract to say, well, if you don't meet X amount of numbers, well, we're going to take $15 million from that $50 million contract. Is that fair to the player, or is that fair to the organization? Because the player has shown that he hasn't been consistent. He showed you it's there. He's been injured. His numbers fluctuate. How is that good for both parties? If that a player can have inconsistent play, that he's showing you that he's not reliable or liable to stay healthy, why should I give Saquon Barkley and these guys more money because they feel like they the reason when they play, they are the reason why success? But I shouldn't focus on whether or not you are like why should I ignore as an organization that you struggled because you had a great year? I think this is where a lot of teams even get in trouble, because we obviously got in trouble for that. We got in trouble for giving, Matt Ryan, and Matt Ryan deserved it. Not saying he didn't, but we got in trouble with Julio. We gave Julio money that he did in the past. We gave Julio all that money based on what he did in the past. Chances are Julio was never going to put up those types of numbers at the age of 32. The Falcons went against the grain. They went against the bylaws of the NFL to show Julio Jones how much they cared about him. And it ended up fucking them over. So chances are with a running back, and this is the dilemma that a lot of players in the organization has, chances are after 3-4 years, most running backs don't have 5, 6, 7 years of great play. We've seen this time and time again where running backs have 4, 5 years of 1,500, and then after that 4th year, probably 5th year, they're never the same. But we supposed to give you $50 million because you did it better than anybody. But there's no way to justify Saquon not getting paid for the Giants. Of course it is. I just said it. You naive. Saquon Barkley had a torn ACL. He may not ever be the same player ever again. If he get hurt one more time, he hurt that knee one more time, chances are he's not going to be the same. So why would I get him another $100 million contract when he's already showed you he can't stay healthy, when he's already showed you that he's already had a knee injury, and chances are when you tear ACL, it's a degenerative effect from that point on. You don't grow a new ACL and just everything gonna be perfectly fine. That's not how injuries work, bro. And this is the aspect the players they don't want to talk about. All they want to talk about is what they did. When you go to work, you don't get paid for shit you might do. Okay? Let me say that again. When you go to work, you don't get paid for shit you might do. If Matt Mike don't put out content, who the fuck gonna support my channel? If I'm not putting out fucking content for people, who gonna come and say, all right, Mike, I'm gonna give you $5 even though you don't do Falcon content creator? Man, get out of here. Most of y'all wouldn't do that. So why would you expect the NFL to do? Why would you expect NFL owners to give players on shit they might do? Like this is the stuff we be talking about. Everybody want to pay guys for what the fuck they did, but this ain't the real world. This ain't life. I don't give a fuck about giving you no money for shit you might do. Either you doing it or you not doing it. I pay you to come and run for 100 yards every game. And if you're not giving me 100 yards every game, I want my money back. Because you didn't end up to your end of the bargain. That's just the way it is. Saquon ain't doing that. So this is what Saquon got to do. He got to come to the realization that, bro, you have a lot of holes in your game and just as a business, because his body is a business, he is a business. And until he realized that you're not a perfect player, that you have holes, the Giants cannot afford to pay Saquon Barkley $20 million a year, and if he get hurt, they fucked. They are screwed. They chopped and screwed if they give him $20 million a year and then he can't play another down and he's not the same type of player. And JB, why would I play somebody who's hurt all the time? Again, players have to understand that if you get hurt, organizations have the right to pull back from you. And until they realize and understand that, they're going to forever be upset. One of the things that frustrates me with players, they always want to talk about, every player always say, I gave my all to this team, when I was hurt. Ain't nobody tell you to do that. Did nobody tell you to decide to play football in high school, college, and pro? I didn't make you do it. You did that by your own merit. You did that by your own. You wanted to play the game. Arthur Blank didn't put a gun to your head and say, come play for me now. They didn't make you pay. You made the decision to play the game of football. It is a violent sport. Chances are when you play football, you're going to get knocked the fuck out. You're going to suffer from a lot of injuries. You're going to suffer from a lot of concussions. Chances are that's what you're going to happen. That's what's going to happen. So when I hear players say, do I have empathy for them? Yeah, I do. But you knew exactly what you signed up for when you decided to play the game. I don't want to hear this fucking excuses. I have no empathy and sympathy for players that sit up here and say, I'll put my body on the line. Arthur deserved, he should have given me 5-10 minutes. Man, shut up. You knew exactly what you was getting in when you got into it. When you walk up to Debo, chances are he gonna knock you the fuck out. If you don't want to get knocked the fuck out, don't run up to Debo. If you don't want to get knocked the fuck out, don't run up to Mike Tyson. Like, players kill me with this shit. Like, everybody is so fucking entitled because they think they the greatest player and all this shit. Like, just because you think you deserve this, that I should bow down. And that shit is it's disgusting. You know what the fuck you was getting into when you decided to play football. You knew chances are you was gonna break your leg, or you was gonna tear ACL, you was gonna get concussions. You knew that. So when players use that excuse, well, I put my body on the line, well, everybody else, the thousands of people who played the game too, they did the exact same shit. That don't make you special. Everybody's entitled. And I just saw I know Tony Wright somewhere probably typing up a statement where we need to get Denzel Mill because he been capping for that dude for a while, a minute. And see, this is where the disconnect when it comes down to fans and business. You got to understand that. You got to separate business from personal issues. And a lot of players are not separating business from personal issues. All the best businessmen and all the best players, guys like Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, you never hear LeBron James complaining about money. Why? Because he knows business from personal shit. You got to be able to, like I said, LeBron get what he get, and the team get what they get. Same thing with Steph Curry, all the great players. It's like at the end of the day, it's a trade-off. In order for it to succeed, in order for it to work for both parties got to give a little. And the problem with a lot of these players, they don't want to give anything. They just want to say, all right, this is the market. This guy got 25. I want 25 too. And they don't care about whether or not the team is in dead, done hit like they $20 to $30 million in dead cap. All they care about, hey, I want my money. But this is why I applaud, God dang it, what's the running back in Cincinnati? Good God. But like AJ Jones, like he understands that. Like, you got to be able to play the game, bro. The great businessmen always find a way to make it work for them. Great business is an equal trade-off. You win some, Joe Mixon. Good God, I don't know why name I was. But LeBron could be getting, see, that's the thing. See, this is why people get it wrong. LeBron getting paid mostly off the court. LeBron don't make as much as a lot of people think LeBron is getting broke off, but like compared to other guys, LeBron getting pennies. Especially these new contracts coming out. LeBron's getting pennies. So I think at the end of the day, like if these guys are great businessmen, if they really care about their teammates, if they actually care about winning, they would go to the negotiating table and they will put incentives in their contracts. If you believe that you, as Saquon Barkley, are as good as you think you are, put your money up. Work for it. Problem, you don't want to work for it. You feel like you don't already work for it. And that's the problem. Most players don't want to work for it. They feel like they've already worked for it. That's the biggest issue. Everybody feel like they've already worked for it. And once you work for it one time, you want to sit around and sip daiquiris and sip champagne, sip some Hennessy, smoke a blunt or two. I don't work shit. I done did my job. I ain't got to do nothing else. That's the problem with players. You got to keep hustling at the end of the day. So, like I said before, I understand where they're coming from, and I totally agree with them getting their money. But all this holding out and all this type of stuff and saying I want my money regardless, that's not gonna work. It's not gonna work with a lot of NFL teams, especially teams like the Falcons, the Patriots, Seattle. Like they not gonna sit back. 49ers, like the Steelers. You're not gonna just demand shit with them. You're gonna have to work for it now. You're gonna have to give it a little something back. And I think that's the problem. So, like I said, with the Atlanta Falcons, man, I think the Atlanta Falcons will be fine. I think when it comes down to it, we just got to be honest with ourselves that this team is a lot better off than what we realize. I think, but the biggest issue is that everybody's scared. And you scared because you don't know half of these players on this roster. When you know what you know about players, you're not scared. And most of the fans, y'all don't know nothing about no Desmond Ritter. That's why y'all want somebody else with a bigger name. Y'all don't know nothing about no Tyler Algier. Y'all ain't did no homework on Tyler Algier. But everybody do their homework on a guy like Bijan and have no problem with drafting a Bijan. You don't know nothing about no Taquan Graham. Y'all don't care nothing about no Jeff Okudah. You don't care nothing about half of these players on this team. That's why a lot of our negativity come, because y'all are unfamiliar with what the team doing, the players, the coaches, the organization. Y'all just don't know. And when you don't know, everybody always get in their feelings, and everybody always assume, and everybody always say, I hope this ain't gonna work because I don't know who he is. He never won a championship, so how can you say he's gonna be a champion for us? So like I say, at the end of the day, the Falcons will be fine, and I'm going to end with this. This Falcons defense is going to be a lot better than what y'all expect. Keep a close eye on Arnold Ebiketie, Zach Harrison, Taquan Graham. Those three guys, God willing they stay healthy, they're going to be a major part of this defensive team. So with that being said, I'm out of here. I'll drop some videos later on tonight. But that's all I got to say about that. I got to get back to packing and moving. Your boy's headed over to, got a house. So I'm going to be moving in a couple of days. So I appreciate y'all. I got just got a little short period where I can rest and not do anything. So I appreciate y'all, man. That's all I got to say about that. Let's stop talking about the quarterback position and Arthur Smith so much. Everybody's so focused on the quarterback and Arthur Smith. These guys will be fine. They will be fine. Just give it time. And that's all I got to say about that. I'm out of here, man.